Welcome back to the Whirlpool, where fibs and fabrications are pulled under and drowned. I'm Michael Worley. By now, I'm sure you've all heard the rumors, and I stress that they are just that, rumors, unfounded, idle gossip, that the leader of the One True Church, Novatian, Archbishop of Wilkes-Barre, who also happens to be my brother, has contracted the coronavirus. I can neither confirm nor deny these rumors. My brother's voicemail has been full. Every time I've tried to call him recently, he hasn't responded to any of my texts, even the ones I intentionally wrote using all capital letters, and he has been sequestered in his personal quarters on the campus of the Church of St. Veritas for the last few weeks. However, what I'm going to discuss with you today doesn't require me to know whether the rumors regarding Archbishop Novatian are true or not, because I want to discuss the enemies of the One True Church and the nefarious ways in which they have threatened us and continue to threaten us to this very day. For the sake of this discussion, let's assume the rumors are true, that the Archbishop has become infected with the virus. How could something like that happen? I can tell you this. It wasn't by accident. My brother imposed social distancing regulations and required the wearing of face masks during close contact for clergy and employees of the One True Church, even before our despotic state governor implemented such requirements on the general public. Also, between you and me, Noah's always been a bit obsessive when it comes to hand washing. I mean, obviously, wash after a number 2, but before and after every visit to the toilet? Who has that kind of time? Knowing his personal habits as I do, I find it extremely unlikely that Novatian contracted the coronavirus randomly. Knowing how credulous he tends to be when it comes to the opinions of medical experts, I also do not believe he chose to follow my proposed let's intentionally infect ourselves and get it over with protocol, which I first presented on this program some weeks ago. That leaves only one option. Murder by virus.
Greetings, brethren. This is Cardinal Cornelius Crumbum, prefect of the One True Church's Supreme Sacred Congregation of the Inquisition. I have once again requested this time so that I may provide for you an update on the status of His Holiest Archbishop Novatian and the various rumors that have been circulating. The current situation is complex and demands some explanation, so I beg your indulgence. Funny, granting indulgences is usually my job. Just a little priest humor there. Anyway, Archbishop Novatian has sequestered himself in his private quarters on the campus of the Church of St. Veritas, taken no telephone calls, responded to no messages, and has spoken with no one save the various Grubhub delivery drivers who have been his only source of sustenance during this time. As he has apparently not been fasting, the only other explanation is that, for reasons he has not yet been moved to share, the Archbishop has entered into a period of prayerful silence and isolation. Rest assured, dear members of our congregation, in the Archbishop's absence, the day-to-day affairs of the One True Church are being managed by myself and my deputies at the SSCI. Mass and other in-person church services are still canceled owing to the coronavirus outbreak, but when there is a change to that circumstance, I will report it to you at once. Finally, if any of the Grubhub drivers who have delivered food to the Archbishop recently happen to hear this message, please contact me at my office immediately. May our Heavenly Father's blessings descend upon you all like a cool, cleansing rain. Be at peace.
But if Novatian has been infected by the coronavirus, and if this is the result of a deliberate attack, who would do such a thing? Who are the prime suspects? Since the Archbishop of Wilkes-Barre is the vicar of Christ on earth, our Heavenly Father's enemies are his enemies, and that's a long list. But I've narrowed it down to a handful of the strongest possibilities. First, whenever we are compelled to consider the enemies of the one true church, we must examine rival churches. Regionally, that means the genuine Church of Christ, the second largest traditionalist Catholic sect in northeastern Pennsylvania. While it's easy to dismiss it as a gang of misguided, envious heretics, let us never forget that it was an agent of the GCC who assassinated Angelicus I on the second day of his reign as Archbishop of Wilkes-Barre back in 1997. However, they've mostly behaved themselves ever since, and I doubt they're clever enough to employ germ warfare without accidentally infecting at least half of their own congregation. So let's move on to the next suspect, the Vatican. Before you dismiss the notion as too far-fetched, remember that the Vatican is responsible for the disappearance of my great-grand-uncle, Archbishop Fulton J. Worley, in 1963. No one knows what happened to Archbishop Uncle Fulton to this day, which makes the Vatican guilty not only of his abduction, wrongful imprisonment, and probably murder, but also of a cover-up. Given those facts, is it really so difficult to believe that they might also attempt to do away with the leader of the church, which was founded by the righteous and godly nephew of Archbishop Fulton J. Worley? In fact, I wouldn't put it past the Vatican to have engineered this entire outbreak. Sure, they say the virus originated in China, but did you know in 2018 the Vatican and the Chinese government signed an agreement giving the Pope control over which bishops are appointed in the Catholic Church in China? Sounds like evidence of collusion to me. And let me ask you this, how many Roman Catholics have gotten sick as a result of the coronavirus? Do you know any? I don't. Seems a little suspicious, wouldn't you say? The hard but inevitable truth is this. If the Vatican is capable of conspiring with the Chinese government to create and unleash the coronavirus in order to kill the leader of the one true church, it is capable of anything, even planting false evidence for the FBI to find in order to bring down Novatian's predecessor, formerly known as Archbishop Angelicus II. Always remember, as members of the one true church, we are the wielders of a double-edged sword. While one edge can be used to strike out at our enemies, the other can easily be turned against us by those same enemies. We are targets because of our faith, our piety, our moral superiority, and most of all, our allegiance to our Heavenly Father. We are His soldiers on this battlefield of spiritual warfare, and like all great generals, He is seated far from the fighting, watching through His divine binoculars. The other side has decided to fight dirty, to deploy biological weapons against us. Fortunately, the Infinity Star's general in command of our divine army has issued us the only protective equipment we need: His holy word. For the Whirlpool, I'm Michael Worley.